Hi everyone, Gruntle here, and this is my guide to legendary and unique weapons in Borderlands, the pre-sequel. This episode we're looking at the Cryophobia, which is a legendary launcher manufactured by Maliwan. This launcher is similar to the Pyrophobia in Borderlands 2, except this is, as you can see there, a cryo version, basically, of that gun. So, you can get this from the bosun in Pity's Fall, as a drop from that, or of course vending machines and grinder and things like that. So the special thing about this weapon, and I'll show you right now, is that when you fire it, it explodes multiple times in mid-air before hitting a surface or your enemy, just a target basically. So it will go down this long hallway and it will explode heaps of times and then hit the back wall if I aim it properly. So explode, 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 and then it hits the back wall. So that's kind of cool. Basically that means that when you're using it in battle, you want to aim kind of in a group of enemies in parallel to the ground, and get it going beside them rather than hitting the first guy. So you get it hitting back a bit so you can get multiple targets damaged by it. But anyway, we need to have a look at it here. So the skin, it looks very similar to Laszlo's Freeze-Easy, which is a unique laser from pre-sequel. I've done a video on that in the past if you want to check that out. But yeah, the skin is kind of like frozen ice type looking stuff. So yes. Now the name Cryophobia. Cryophobia is an actual word that means an irrational fear of cold or cold objects. The cold or cold objects. Except with this weapon it's probably not irrational considering how powerful it is. And the red text, I'm not sure what that is, but it's there and it's red text. It says no argument here. Anyway, we're going to look at the parts. So with this you're always going to get the Maliwan barrel, so that's what that looks like there. And the Maliwan barrel gives you good accuracy, or increased accuracy, and increased missile speed. So you can see that the accuracy is pretty decent for a rocket launcher, 87.6 here, and it's going to have quite fast missiles. I was thinking maybe having slower missiles would be better just because it could explode more times in mid-air. However, the fact that you're always going to get the Maliwan barrel means you can't really change that, so don't worry about that. Next up, the grip here is the Maliwan grip, and that is going to give you increased elemental effect chance. So it's going to increase the freeze chance for the Cryophobia. So it's got a pretty decent freeze chance of 36.7, and that is going to be on every single explosion, every single nova as it goes through the air. I think you can call them a nova. But every explosion will have a 36.7% chance to freeze the enemy and then deal cryo damage to them with the cryo damage per second, so that is pretty awesome. Next up is the sight, and zoom in on it here. It's the Torg sight just here, and what that is going to give us is accuracy, increased accuracy. So that is something that's helping with the accuracy of this weapon. Basically I've put that on there just because I want to be able to fire long distances, so I can get more explosions and have it go pretty well straight, so that I can make sure it doesn't hit the ground or an enemy or something like that if I don't want it to. And we've got here the exhaust is a Torg exhaust. It's this bit down here, not including the top bit here, and what that is going to give the weapon is increased weapon damage with decreased fire rate. So the fire rate of this weapon, 0.9, is not great. It wouldn't have been very good even without the decrease in weapon or in fire rate, from this Torg exhaust, but it's a little bit worse than it could have been. But the weapon damage is what I was going for with this, because it's just going to help make this even more badass than it could have been. And lastly, the accessory, which was this top bit here. This is the same one I've been using for the other launches so far, and it's probably my favorite accessory for all launches. And it's basically the increased weapon swap speed, and it gives increased reload speed as well. So the reload speed isn't great, so a little bit of increase in that is nice, but it's mostly for the swap speed. So if you want to quickly swap it out. Launchers usually take a while to put into your hand, but with this you can swap quite quickly. So if this is not the Cryophobia, I'm going to switch to the Cryophobia. Oh, if I can do it correctly. And there. So it's pretty quick. You're able to shoot it reasonably soon after bringing it out. So yes, there's not too much else to say about this weapon, except to compare it here to the purple version of a Maliwan cryo thing with all the same parts. Cryo launcher, that's the word. So basically, it's got slightly better reload speed than a normal purple Maliwan and better damage, which the damage is nice. But of course the main thing is the fact that the rockets explode multiple times in mid-flight. So explosion, explosions, explosions. That is always nice. It looks like the blast radius isn't too huge. It is if you hit a wall in front of you, so that's good. But you can't aim too far off to the side, otherwise you probably won't damage the enemy. But what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to gameplay with Aurelia, who is the character I am flinging myself across the room as now. And she has cryo buffs, so she's going to be very good with this weapon, giving increased damage and additive damage as well, with the cryo damage giving more damage as it damages and you get the idea. Basically it's amazing. I don't know if any other characters would be particularly amazing with this, except for the fact that it is probably a decent weapon for any character in terms of getting enemies frozen so that you can hit them with maybe an explosive damage weapon for the increased damage on a cryo affected enemy, or melee them. So it might even be good for Athena if you have the scav grip. If you had a scav grip, it would have a sword thing on the front of it, so if you used Athena you could hit them with the cryo damage, get them frozen, then run up to them and smack them in the face with your increased melee damage. So yes, we're going to jump over to the Aurelia gameplay and we're going to freeze some enemies. So we're here in Overlook with Aurelia and the Cryophobia, and what I will try and do here is throw out the Meganade a few times and get the enemies clumped up a bit together so that when I fire it off, the explosions are going to hit multiple enemies at once. And because it explodes multiple times, as long as I don't aim straight at an enemy, it should explode on the group many times, which is very effective. The Singularity Grenade is great for doing that as well, especially this Meganade, which does a Singularity effect multiple times. So just keep that in mind if you want to use a weapon like this. It'll be very good for Fight for Your Life mode due to the explosions, and especially with Aurelia, because what will happen is if an enemy goes behind a wall, you can fire it out even if you're in Fight for Your Life mode and can't get behind that wall, and the explosions should be able to damage them still. That happens towards the end of this clip. I managed to get an enemy who's behind a wall with one of the explosions, which is kind of cool. But yes, you'll be able to use it in Fight for Your Life mode quite well, especially with Aurelia, because she'll have all of those cryo buffs, meaning that you have a higher freeze chance on the enemies, which means that they won't be able to run away as easily also. Now if you want to read more about this weapon, there's a link in the description below the like button to the wiki page, and you can also read about the other attachments that are on rocket launchers from the wiki pages. And just there, by the way, I'm using a Logan's gun to refill my rocket ammo, which I didn't use last time and I should have. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe for more, and thanks for watching.